All right, here we go. Thursday's class. Go ahead and get out your homework. It was that worksheet yesterday, 10.2b. You had the even ones to do. Remember, we did the odd ones in class. As always, for all these videos, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me an email for questions. I've had a couple of you already do that. And then remember, you can always pause the video at any time, rewind it, play it back as many times as you need. Okay, so let's check our answers. Remember, once you check your answers, you're going to go to the Google Forms, and question number one will always be, how many did you get wrong? So here are the answers. You only had the even ones to do. Go ahead and check your answers, pause the video, and answer question number one on the Google Forms, and then come on back. All right, how'd you guys do? All right, if you forgot to answer the question Google Forms, do that now, please. If not, let's move on. So here's the calendar. We're gonna finish the week with section 10.3. It's a 2-day class again. We'll take a spring break, a much needed break, and then we'll come back to school, do a CMAS prep for a week, and then we'll take the CMAS test. Hey, let's be honest with each other. I do not know what the future holds. I know you know all the information I know, so we're gonna go with this plan right here. If we got to change it, we got to change it. But it's no use worrying about this because none of us know what's going on. Let's just get some math done. All right, here's your homework tonight. It is from the book. Hey, for those you geniuses out there that want to try to impress me, try to do number 16. And then I'll have a question tomorrow on the Google Forms of who is impressive. Quite a few of you are impressive. Let's see how many are truly impressive. Okay, so here we go. Today we're going to do circles. Remember, this entire chapter is a calculator chapter, so yes, please use your calculators. We're going to take 2 days to do the following. Calculate the area of a circle, and if I give you the area of the circle, you're going to calculate the radius or diameter. We're going to use a little bit of algebra to do that. So recall, we've done this before when we did circumference. Recall that the definition of a circle is, well, I have to give you a point, and you got to put the point come on, stop. You got to put the point somewhere on the paper, right there. And then what you do is you take your ruler and you measure a certain distance away, you put another dot, and you use that same measurement in a different direction, put a second dot. And then a third dot, same distance, and then a fourth dot, and a fifth dot, and a sixth dot, and a seventh, so forth, and so on, and so on. Don't do this once or twice. Do it an infinite amount of time, and as you can see already, if you do it an infinite amount of times, you get to that shape right there, which we call a circle. Now, I just want to point out, even though we define the circle, there's the definition right there. We define the circle from the center point. The center point isn't part of the circle. It's that curved surface that is the actual circle. Now, yes, we tend to color our circles, but the reality is that colored part is not part of the circle. It's just the curved black part that is the circle itself. Okay. Now, all my circles will have the insides colored, but just remember, I truly want you to remember the definition of circle is the set of all points the same distance from a given point, the center. Okay, we've had that definition before. All right, so circles. We dealt with this before when we were dealing with circumference. Remember, circumference is the distance around an object. I'm sorry, the distance around a circle in this case. And the formula we had, well, we had two of them. One was circumference is equal to pi, which is 3.14, times the diameter. The diameter is the distance from one side of the circle to the other side of the circle that goes through the center. Or we could use c equals 2 pi r. Since the diameter has, or two radii make one diameter, 2 times r would be one diameter. It's the same formula, just in a different form. So those were the two, it's really one. Those are the two formulas that we've had before when we dealt with circles. Notice both of those have pi, and we're going to use 3.14 for pi. So write this down, please. Today we're going to be doing the area of a circle. So the area of a circle is equal to pi times the radius, not times 2, but squared. This is also why most math teachers don't like to use the circumference formula. Circumference is equal to 2 pi r, because it certainly looks a whole lot like the area formula. Now remember, when you square something, you get large really quick. When you multiply by 2, you get larger, but not as quickly as when you square something. All right. The values we're going to use for pi are 3.14, And if you were doing it by hand and there were fractions involved, you can use 22 sevenths. Historically, 22 sevenths was used for a long, long, long time. With calculators, we do have a pi key. Just remember the pi key is not pi. It just takes 3.14 out to a whole bunch more digits. It's certainly more accurate to use the pi key on your calculator. If you use the pi key on your calculator, you will get answers that are really close, but slightly larger than the answers that I will provide. And it's perfectly fine. If you want to use the pi key, you just got to remember that the answer that I give you will be a little bit smaller than what you got. Okay, so how do you use this formula? Well, you just need one variable. You just need the radius. All right, so there's a circle. The radius is listed 4 inches. So how do you use this? Well, you plug 4 into the formula for the variable r, the radius. Now by PEMDAS, GEMDAS, remember, before multiplication, we need to square. Landon, does that mean 4 times 2 or does it mean 4 times 4? Amanda, was he right? Right, that is correct. That is not 4 times 2. That is 4 written twice. 4 times 4. Most common mistake. You do 4 times. I shouldn't even say it. I'm going to cause someone to make that mistake. But yeah, it's 4 times 4, not 4 times 2. 4 times 4 is 16. So this is 3.14 times 16. And remember, as soon as you change that pi symbol to 3.14, it's an approximation. So the answer is not equals. It's close, but it is an approximation because we're doing some rounding there. Pi is an irrational number, a number that goes on forever, never stops, never repeats itself either. So we get area is equal to 50.2, and remember, in area, units are always squared, or they're stated in square units. Okay, inches times inches is inches squared. Okay, let's do one together. Go ahead and write down this, do the calculation, try to beat me to the answer here. So I got a circle. Let's see, to calculate the area, I need the radius. The radius of this circle looks to be 10. So I plug in 10 to the formula. Let's see, 10, it's not 10 times 2, it's 10 written twice. 10 times 10. 10 times 10 is 100. And 100 times 3.14 is 314. Notice I didn't put an equal sign. I used the approximation symbol. Cool. Did you beat me to it? Good job. What's the only way I can mess with you on these problems? What do you think? Jaden, what do you think? Do you agree with him, Breckton? Okay. Both of them said that the only way I can screw with you is if I give you the diameter. The diameter. So here's one. Let's do this one together. Here's one where you're given the diameter. Now, the formula doesn't have diameter. It has radius. The relationship between diameter and radius is that a diameter is half of I said that backwards. A diameter is twice a radius. A radius is half of a diameter. So if I give you the diameter, you got to cut it in half. So there's a diameter, 10 centimeters. Therefore, the radius is correct. The radius is 5. Go ahead and do that calculation. Beat me to the answer. Once again, that is not 5 times 2. That is 5 written twice. 5 squared. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 3.14, remember we got to use approximation because I'm rounding pi, okay, is 78.5 square centimeters. As always in these videos, if I'm talking too fast or you need to do it again, it's always a good practice to pause, rewind, play it again. You can pause at any time. All right, the next question in Google Forms, it says in box 4, calculate the area of the circles. There's 3 circles there. Do them one at a time. Give me all 3 answers. This is question number 2, Google Forms. For the 3 circles in box number 4. Go ahead, pause the video, type in your answers, come back for the answers. How'd you guys do? All right, which one was I trying to mess you with? Yeah, the middle one, the blue one there. I gave you the diameter instead of the radius. So in the first one, the radius is 6. 6 squared is 36. 36 times 3.14 is approximately 113 square centimeters. Did you remember to put in the units? Okay. All right. The middle one, the 14. Yes, I'm trying to mess with you. I gave you a diameter. What is the radius, Kai? That is correct. The radius is 7. Priscilla, what'd you get? Okay, that is correct. And the last one, the last one. What do you think? What do you think? Okay, here's what I got. Is that what you guys got? Yeah, that's correct. That is the right answer. So it's 113 square centimeters, 154 square inches, and 30 square centimeters. Good job, guys. All right, now we're going to do the same thing, except this time, no picture. Well, there's no picture. Remember the formula. All I need is the radius, so let's read. It says find the area of a circle. The area of a circle is area of pi r squared with a diameter of 6 inches. Yep, I'm trying to mess with you. I said a diameter of 6 inches. A diameter of 6 inches. Therefore, in order to plug that into the formula, I need the radius. Half of a diameter is a radius. So the radius is 3 is what I need to plug in. That's not 3 times 2. That's 3 written twice, or 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3.14 is that number right there. Okay? Got it? All right. Do box 5. This is the next question in the Google Forms. Do box 5 here. There are 2 questions there. Answer both. Pause the video. Type them into Google Forms. Come back for the answer. How'd you guys do? Cool? All right. Let's check our work. Leonie, what'd you get for the first one? Okay. Leonie said that she got 79 square inches. That is correct. Correct, correct, correct. All right. Second one. Who wants it? Who wants it? How about, which landing do I want to pick this time? All right. Smalls. What do you got, Smalls? Oh, did you remember that I gave you the diameter? You need to do the radius. Good job. So the radius on this one is 2 inches. 2 inches. So I plug 2 in. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 3.14 is approximately 13 square inches. Got it? Hey, make sure for homework tonight you read the instructions. Sometimes the instructions will say, round in the nearest tenth or hundredth or nearest unit. All right, well, let's see what we got here. So it says find the radius. Notice it doesn't say find the area. It says find the radius of a circle with an area of 46 square inches. Notice I'm not given the radius this time, but I am given the area. So when I'm given the area, well, I'm going to not replace the R. I'm going to replace the A. I'm going to place the A. Okay? Chris, what do you think we got to do? Yeah, we got to get R by itself. So let's see. How do we get R by itself? How would we get rid of the pi? How is the pi attached to the R, Chris? Yeah, it's attached by multiplication. What's the inverse of multiplication? Or how do we get rid of multiplication? That's correct. We divide. This one's going to get messy. Be ready for it. We're going to divide both sides by pi. Or on the right side, pi divided by pi cancels. And on the left side, you get a really ugly number. I'm going to round to the nearest tenth. Okay? All right. This is brand new, so everyone's got to listen. This is brand new. Well, it looks like R is by itself, except it's got that 2 attached. That 2 is square. So we got to figure out what is the inverse. You remember, we always do inverse to get rid of things. What is the inverse of squaring? All right, don't yell it out. Okay, for those of you that do not know, the inverse of subtraction is, the inverse of multiplication is, so what's the inverse of squaring? Well, it turns out the inverse of squaring is square rooting. So what do I need to do to both sides? I need to take the square root of both sides. Now I'm going to have a whole lot of different calculators. There's 2 types of calculators. One where you hit the square root button first. One where you type in the number first. Okay? If you have a really, really, really cheap calculator, you're going to type the number in first and then hit the square root button. If you were using my calculators, that's what you would do. But I know a lot of you have the smart calculators. On the smart calculators, you're going to type in the square root button first and then the number. Okay, you're going to have to mess with this. Okay, what I would suggest to you is take the square root of 9. We all know the square root of 9 is 3. So type in 9 and then hit the square root button, see if you get 3. Or hit the square root button first and then 9 and see if you get 3. And then you'll know which calculator you have. Okay? Long story short, we take the square root of both sides. The square root of r squared is r, and the square root of 14.6 is approximately 3.8. Okay, for those of you that are having problems finding the square root button on your calculator, look at the symbol that I just used and find that on your calculator. Email me, please, if you're having any problems with taking the square root of a number. All right, you might want to pause the video, rewind it, and play this slide again at least 2 or 3 times to see how this is done. Okay? All right, we'll do another one. It says find the radius of a circle with an area of 12 square centimeters. Once again, I'm given the area, not the radius. This procedure is done the same way each and every time. We get rid of pi first. We get rid of pi by division. 12 divided by 3.4 is about 3.8. We get rid of squaring by square rooting. We take the square root of both sides. The square root of r squared is r. The square root of 3.8 is about 2. It's 1 point, it rounds to 2. Okay? All right. Once again, rewind the video. Play this one again before we try the next one together. Here we go. So it says find the radius of a circle with an area of 100. So the area is 100. I'm going to talk fast. Rewind the video if you need to hear this again. First step is divide both sides by pi. The pi's on the right cancel. 100 divided by 3.4 is about 31.8. To get rid of squaring, we take the square root. And the square root of 31.8 is? It's about 5.6. Do we have this? If not, go back 3 slides. Play all 3 slides again. By that time, you've seen it 6 times. You should get the hang of things. This is done the same way each and every time when they give you the area and they want you to calculate the radius. All right, here's 2 questions. Go ahead and do both of them. Put your answers in Google form and then come back for the answer. How'd you guys do? Well, hopefully, if you were running into problems, you rewinded the video, you saw how I did it for the 3 examples, and you were able to get both of these done. The first one, the answer is approximately 3.8 inches. Notice that the answer is not in square inches because we're calculating the radius. We're not calculating the area, we're calculating the radius. Area is always in square units. Radius is just a distance, therefore it's not squared. And the last one, the answer is approximately 2.1 centimeters. And you're like, well, how come sometimes you're rounding to the 10th and how come sometimes you're rounding to the nearest unit? It's entirely your option until you're given specific instructions. Okay? All right. If you don't feel confident with that, play all 4 examples now again. All right, we're moving on. Why is this one different? All right. Next one, go ahead and do both of these. Pause the video, write your answers in Google Forms. This is box 8, box 8, box 8. Okay, how'd you guys do? Well, remember, if you got to the radius, you got to double the radius to get your diameter. Ooh, I put the right answer there, D. So D is approximately 5.6 inches. The answer won't be in square inches because we're calculating the diameter. Diameter is just a distance. Okay, it's not an area. And the second one, approximately 11.3 centimeters. Cool? All right, for those of you still struggling, play the videos again. All right, last 2 things. What if they told you to use 22/7 to solve the problem? And what if they forced you to use 22/7? Let's see how that would work. All right, so let's say that you were told that the radius, you're trying to find the area, and you're told the radius is 7 inches. But they told you that you had to use 22/7. Let's see how that would work. Okay, so if I'm forced to use 22/7 as pi, well, step number 1, plug in the radius. That's not 7 times 2, that's 7 times 7. 7 times 7 is 49. We good up to here? Now they're telling you they want you to use 22/7. So when I plug in that for pi, right, 22/7, right? Well, to multiply with fractions, they both have to be fractions, so you put 49 over 1. You do some cross cancellation. 7 goes into 7 once. 7 goes into 49 7 times. And 22 times 7 is 154 square inches. And once again, I made a mistake. There should be an approximation symbol there, not an equal sign. Okay, makes sense? So using 22/7 is, well, I mean, with a calculator, 3.14 is just as easy. But if you were asked to do this by hand, that's what you would have to do. Okay? Last thing, occasionally you are asked to leave it in terms of pi. Here's what that means. It means you don't do the last step. And by that I mean you don't multiply by 3.14. You just leave pi as pi. Let me show you an example. So just calculate the area of a circle, leave in terms of pi. If the instructions say leave in terms of pi, here's what you do. You plug in the radius. Why did I plug in 5 and not 10? Oh yeah, that's right, because 10 is the diameter, 5 would be the radius. 5 squared is 25. You're going to like this, because guess what? That is the answer. When it says leave in terms of pi, it simply means leave pi as pi. Don't change it to 3.14. Therefore, I can keep an equal sign. So this is a way of not doing rounding and leaving it in terms of pi. You will see as we go forward next year, pre-algebra, algebra 1. When we get into algebra 1 in geometry, we don't change it to 3.14. We just leave it as pi, and that way we're always dealing with an equal sign and not an approximation symbol. Okay? So, long story short, if it says leave it in terms of pi, you just don't do the last step. Seems easy, right? And it is. So we'll do one together. It says calculate the area of the circle, leave in terms of pi. Okay, step number 1, find the radius. The radius is 8.4. Okay, therefore, you need to multiply the radius. You need to square it. My animation's slightly off there. Find the radius. 8.4 squared is 70.56. Therefore, the answer is 70.56 pi. That's how you leave it in terms of pi. Makes sense? Play the video game. Sorry about the animation being off there for the last slide, but that's how it's done. All right, we did two things today. We calculated area of a circle, and we calculated the radius or diameter given the circle, or given the area of the circle. All right, here's your homework. As always, if you run into any issues, don't hesitate. Email me. Let me help you. And if you want to impress me for today's homework, do number 16. Okay. Well, yeah, that's it for Thursday. And do your homework, and I will see you guys tomorrow.